And that feeling of being driven, if you trust yourself, you don't need that. What really needs to happen is you need to just feel that comfort in yourself from the inside out. And even if you don't have this chair, you have where you're sitting right now or where you're going to sit next. You have the opportunity to just be with yourself. And if you have a hard time being with yourself, look at it more as an opportunity to breathe deeply and make a connection with yourself and feel the joy of that acceptance in yourself. I'm Dr. Paul Raddle. I'm a community psychologist and a professional speaker and also an OD consultant. I graduated from the University of Texas with a PhD in community and counseling psychology, and I've also practiced that for 40 years. So I'm the founder of the Raddle Institute, and my lifelong passion and drive has been to try to bring Raddle to the masses. And if you haven't heard of it all that much, you know how much farther I still have to go. And I'm also doing something now which is called consultative conversations, in which I talk with people who are interested in consulting for their organization. We go for about a half an hour. It's free. And then they determine if they want to go any further. And I'm just saying I have studies in anthropology, sociology, a year of law school, and an MA and a PhD. And if I don't have a wide enough range to pull things from, then you shouldn't hire me. So my guess is I'm a quick study, and if I'm not a quick study for you, then you find someone else. The way that Raddle connects with joy is that that's basically what it's about. If you are thriving, then in fact you are joyful. And I'll just take you through the steps really quickly. One of the things, and I could be saying this in a different way, which I will, which is that most stress training, stress management that's gone on for the last 40, 50 years has missed some of the most basic aspects of managing stress. And I'll just state them right now. One is that most people do not trust human nature. Well, if you don't trust your own human nature, all of the rest of the stuff is just gloss. It's putting frosting on a cardboard box. And so the very first step for Raddle is accepting and trusting your own human nature. God didn't create any junk, okay? Then the second one, something that Kyle alluded to as well, the second step really is direct, unconditional self-acceptance. Now, there have been 15,000 studies on self-esteem, but self-esteem doesn't go to the real core, which is if you don't accept yourself and if you don't take care of yourself and nourish yourself, then in fact, you're not really self-accepting. The third one is being present, being totally within yourself as well as having a sense of what's going on around you. Because if you're really relaxed and present, you know that there's a breeze over there. You know that something's moving over there. Okay? And then if you do those three things, and it begins with the belief, and then the actual acceptance, and then living it through your presence, from time to time, you will touch the stars and the stars in yourself, and you will be joyful. And joyful is beyond happy. Definitely. What I actually went back to is having breakfast with my grandmother. And it's about 5 o'clock in the morning, and she wakes me up. And we've done this more than once, but I always look forward to it. It's like an adventure because I have my grandmother all to myself. And we go down and she makes breakfast, and then we sit in the breakfast nook, and I get to ask her questions about what it was like before. And she tells me things about the man coming in to help harness the horses, and they would go off to some village nearby or something. But it was just hearing about what her childhood was like. The funny thing is that my parents never knew that that was going on, because I would then go back to bed and they would get up. So when I told them about it years later, they said, "Oh, you never did that." And I said, "Oh, yes, I did." And I did it more than once. She was like my best friend. To be that connected with her was to be like one person in those moments. There was a transmission going on. And it was transformative for me. It was affirming. It was receiving a gift that only she could give. And in a way, it was also kind of being there with the head person of the family. The head person of the family thought enough of me to wake me up in the morning and have breakfast with me. Little child had enough to offer to sit at the table with her. And I think that's something that I think grandparents give to children more than parents. I have to go with one in nature, because some years ago I did a solo in nature for 6 days. And I did it out in Crestone, Colorado. And one of the results was, I don't know what happened inside of me, but I gained such an appreciation for clouds. And in the fall in Colorado, when the leaves changed, I would go outside and I would be mesmerized. I would actually just be standing there with my jaw dropped, looking at the beauty of those leaves. And I would want to go and knock on the neighbors' doors and say, "Come out here, you've got to see this. This is incredible." So it's that appreciation. And I'm a cloud worshiper. I mean, I can look at the clouds and just, it's almost like being an empath with the clouds. I just love it. So just being in nature, and just internally, if I feel like I'm being a little bit judgmental, or if I'm fearful of something, I just take the edge off. I round the edges. And it's amazing what, instead of going at something like this, going at something like this is so much better. And it just releases something inside. For me, there's beauty everywhere. You know, there's beauty in the clouds. There's beauty in hearing a story. There's so much beauty. And here in the hill country in Texas, you can go out and look at a hill and say, well, that doesn't look like much. You know, it's not really green. If you look closely, though, you'll find that almost every little patch, you could go around with a can and cut out little patches like that and take them and put them on your desk and just revel in the variety of plants that are there. Well, the container for beauty and connection went into a heart, became a heart. And for me, there's something about being able to remain open that is even superior to love, because you can love a lot of things, but you're not necessarily open to things and to discovering more of what's there. And I get so high when I discover things. I get so high when I connect with another person. And I want to just give you one quick one on that. The highly sensitive person is an inherited trait of 15 to 20% of the population. And I've been teaching it since 1996. And I can spot people who are highly sensitive, especially little babies. And to be able to go to a family that's in the airport or wherever they are and just say, here's something I think you might want to know about your child. And then to give them a source where they can find out about it is like releasing them to the fullness of who they are. You know, I read some things a couple of years ago about how love is the major app that needs to be put into organizations. And very recently, I took a course on psychocardiology. And everything that I've read and studied and felt and experienced tells me that the more open we can be and the better the environment, the better. And I've seen things, like holistic organizations. And usually for me, they don't quite get deep enough because they don't really address the fact that we're a shame-based society. I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying it, unless you really dig the root out of the weed, it's going to grow back again. And so to have an organization in which you can face things like shame and trust and having faith in people, not avoiding things like clear direction and guidance, but still having that kind of an atmosphere where it is something I would call transfunctional, which goes beyond transformation, because transformation changes the form. But having a transfunctional organization in which people come in and they're hired for a certain expertise, but they're really there to evolve. They're going to do the job because they're conscientious. But to be able to know that they're going to come out as more holistically human, that they're going to have a team that is much closer, and that their creativity is going to blossom because they're dealing with the stuff that holds them down. And there will be joy in the workplace. Well, in terms of things that drive me, one of them is finding my purpose and delivering that as much as possible. And one of the impacts of that is that if in fact I'm successful, people are going to feel joy. And they're going to feel it in themselves. It's not going to be necessarily a pep rally. The pep is going to come from within. It's not going to be compelling. It's going to be impelling. It's going to come through the person. And to do that, they have to have a certain amount of confidence, which really means with faith, they have to trust themselves. Very often for me, making discoveries and learning is a high, but sometimes just slowing it down and having nothing to do, but just to be, is really a gift. And with that comes a joy of realization. Every breath can be joyful. And for me, physically, that joy actually emanates more from right around here. When I'm thriving, this area opens up. And I know that's an energy chakra, but this is the area. So it's the heart and the power center. What I've learned from some friends of mine who've retired is that it takes them sometimes 2 to 3 years to get beyond that feeling of being driven. And that feeling of being driven, if you trust yourself, you don't need that. What really needs to happen is you need to just feel that comfort in yourself from the inside out. And even if you don't have this chair, you have where you're sitting right now or where you're going to sit next. You have the opportunity to just be with yourself. And if you have a hard time being with yourself, look at it more as an opportunity to breathe deeply and make a connection with yourself and feel the joy of that acceptance in yourself. What's it like to sit in the chair of joy? And I have to tell you, I had a little apprehension when I heard about this whole process. And part of the apprehension was that it's something that I want to do, but I frequently do not take the time to do it. And I really hate hypocrisy. I like to do what I say I do, but sometimes I forget. So having some reminder, even if it's a beautiful shawl like this, or a chair, and it could be an easy chair at home, an easy chair in the office chair, even setting certain time to do it. But there's no reason not to be joyful. When you think about success, so many people want to make so much money to support their family, to get their kids through college and all the rest. And I keep asking the question, And then what? And then what? And then what? And the end of it all is really to be well within yourself, to be at peace, to have a peaceful core, to love yourself, and to resonate in such a way that you resonate joy to other people, because you can't really give other people joy unless you're allowing it to be in yourself. So to some degree, for me, it's getting out of my own way and taking away the obstacles and impediments I put. And when you mention that, it's kind of like, oops, I haven't been doing that. I need to start doing that. So thank you for the reminder. And I have other reminders now, and I'm actually going to designate a chair beside my meditation spot. I'm going to designate a chair in my house that will be my chair of joy.